Hello and welcome to episode number 145 of the Board Game Barrage podcast. This is your host, Christina, the blue tank. With me, as always, I have Mark, the green tank.
Hello.
Neilan, the orange tank.
Hello.
And Kellen, the red tank.
Hello.
To understand that, you're going to have to become a patron.
That's right. And it'll be totally worth it, believe me.
We are here today to continue a fun little challenge that we started last week called, what do we call it, Mark? You named it something.
The 0 to 100.
Oh, 0 to 100. So this is installment 2 and the final installment of 0 to 100 because we wanted to pack this podcast episode with punches and... I'm trying to think of a P word that has to do with horses. Nothing's
Ponies.
coming. Padlocks. Oh, ponies.
Padlocks.
That's where you keep the horses. They're very happy, but we do have to keep the paddocks closed.
Oh, what did I say? Anyways.
Locked.
What?
No.
Yes, I did say padlocked. So today is the second and final installment of 0 to 100. We are, all three of us, the 139 crew here.
139 crew in the house. 139.
We are bringing you our $100 lists. So there's a lot of tension in the room when we started because we're nervous about...
The reason that everyone is so nervous is because I knocked it out of the park last week, and there's nowhere to go but down.
I mean, you did have a really good list. We were all shocked. We're like, oh man, we can't even be mean to him because he has such a good list.
I wanted to so badly.
We wanted to. We tried. So, Mark, Neilan, and I will be bringing you our $100 lists. And in case you didn't listen to last week's episode, you skipped Kellen, so that's fine for some people.
Most people, I would argue.
But the way this is working is... we are entering a world in which our board game closets have burned down, and we have to restart our collection from zero to 100. Mark has gladly supplied us all with a fresh, crisp $100 bill.
That's right.
He loves all things that are hundreds, but especially dollars. So
Yeah, horses would be a far second, but dollars definitely
a close second, maybe.
Well, some say close, some say far. I would say far.
So, Mark has supplied us with these crispy $100 bills.
Crispy?
Yeah, like freshly
fresh from the
fried?
oven, yeah. Yeah. I heated them up so they feel nice in your pocket.
And we have to go out, specifically to game nerds. You cannot exceed $100. We did not factor in shipping to that $100.
Because it's free at Game Nerds.
Free shipping at Game Nerds and maybe Amazon if you have Amazon Prime.
Which is $79 a year, renewed annually. Unless you have a student membership, then you can split that 5 ways and only pay $20 a year. And you get access to Kindle Unlimited when you do that and 2 Audible credits. Free.
Thank you, Kellen. Now we can officially get our money from Amazon.
Yeah.
That we've been
That's right. We're sending a very mixed message with our sponsorship here.
So, before we get to those crispy lists, we will talk about some games we played this week. Kellen, what did you play this week?
I want to talk about contradictions. What is the value, Mark, in sugar-free ice cream?
Neilan loves it.
What, Neilan, is the value in driving a hybrid convertible?
You get...
Don't answer that. This week, Christina and I got to try Cosmic Encounter Duel, a 2-player version of the Alliance negotiation game for many players. Cosmic Encounter Duel uses many of the same components as Cosmic Encounter. The ships are the same. They're translucent, beautiful little spaceships that you stack on top of each other. It is trying to distill the experience of Cosmic Encounter into a 2-player game. You may ask, why did they do that? And I'm here to tell you, yes, why did they do that? Why are you eating sugar-free ice cream? Unfortunately, I got caught up in the hype for this. I said, well, people are enjoying it. Like, it looks like something I'm nostalgic for, so therefore I will buy it. I purchased Cosmic Encounter Duel. It does a lot of things admirably, so I want to get that out of the way. The hand management in Cosmic Encounter is a lot of times maligned online for being too loosey-goosey. Well, Neilan drew a 40, I drew a -7, so therefore this game can get which is true. But what that has been replaced with in Cosmic Encounter Duel is everybody actually has a deck of like 20 cards, and they both have that. It's almost like a deck builder where you can get reinforcement cards and those go into your discard pile. So you may know, oh, Mark has already used his best card, his 42 card. So I think that's a smart update. It also has a system called Envoys where you can go in an alliance with certain hidden alien powers that does actually an interesting job replicating hidden alien powers from the base game of Cosmic Encounter. So a lot of the form and function of the game feels very similar, and you have some of those back and forth gotcha moments where, Christina's alien is the politician, and she can lie about what she's going to play, and if she does lie, then something funny happens. But if she doesn't lie, then it's more straightforward. So you've got a deck of cool alien powers. You've got fun powers zipping off the way and that way. The individual battles are interesting, and about halfway through a game, you go, hey, wait a minute, there's no negotiating. There's no wheeling and dealing. There's no group winning. And therefore, the game just breaks. The game falls apart. It is functionally, it works. And I thought along the way I was having fun. And then all of a sudden I realized, no.
There were some fun moments, like what you're describing with like, oh, I get this cool player power and Kellen isn't going to see this coming. But other than that, it felt like so mechanical or like transactional. Just kind of like, okay, now I do this step and Kellen does that step. I don't know. So Kellen loves Cosmic Encounter. I do not. I'm not a fan. So my opinion is probably less helpful here overall, but it did not sell me on Cosmic Encounter any more than I was already sold.
It seems like you guys like sugar-free ice cream more than I do. I haven't done a very good job with the contradiction. Like, it literally, I'm not sure what I expected going in, but it's exactly what it sounds like. It just shouldn't exist in the world.
Specifically because the parts of Cosmic Encounter that you love, it's like the negotiation,
loves.
right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's not really known for being like an incredible hand management game.
Right.
Or for being like some deep double think bluffing game. Like, it has little elements of that you can kind of control, and then helpings of alliances and group wins that balance the game, so to speak. And this has none of that.
I mean, I think I get it, because I don't love Cosmic Encounter, but there are things I like a lot about Cosmic Encounter, and those things are the negotiation. That is the group talk. The idea that there's a little alliance happening over this side of the table that you've been a little bit locked out of, like those sort of fun conversations. I also say that one of the best things about Cosmic Encounter is not that a alien power is wacky on its own, but the way that every game is a unique combination of the way that the alien powers combine. And I feel like you lose all of those points at 2-player, just by necessity.
Yeah. It made me wonder about a revision to Cosmic Encounter proper and what the next edition will be like. Because the idea of having your own deck of plan cards that give you your 20s, your 30s, your 10s is a smart evolution, and I think could be put into regular Cosmic Encounter in a way that was interesting and that would make it feel a little bit less chaotic for those people who dislike that chaos. But it has all of the things that you don't like about Cosmic, which is like the hand thing where your hand limit, you only draw new cards when you are forced to play a card and you don't have one. And so you're sitting there, you get 6 new cards, and suddenly you have a bunch of options, and then you use 3 good cards, and then you've got nothing for the next 3 turns, and you're just like trying not to get got for 3 turns while you're going, oh, no, please, no. And then it's all of the things that are wrong with Cosmic Encounter, with none of the sugar, so to speak, that you throw in to the ice cream to make it taste good. No, I guess this only loosely works. And then the car thing, environmentalists are going to get mad at me, so I'm not gonna push on the car thing. I was looking up contradictions. I have a list. Virtual reality. I don't know. Paid volunteers.
Are we doing this?
Only choice.
Jumbo shrimp. Are we doing all this?
Oh, you've got good ones. Yeah, man. Yeah, boy. I was trying to avoid more food, but I think jumbo shrimp counts.
I think we cut the contradictions, Kellen. It doesn't sound good.
What?
There's
Sorry,
no
we have
connection.
to cut your bit out, Kellen.
Yeah, we have to cut your bit out.
Well, you don't get.
I'm the host.
You have no edit.
But I'm the host, so I say
I don't think I've ever heard her give edit notes.
the flow of this episode.
This is a
doesn't
first.
feel right to me. If you keep the contradiction in,
I can't tell if you're joking or not. And that was Cosmic Encounter Duel, a game that honestly gives me, opening it up and just looking at it and touching the ships gives me more board game nostalgia than any other game I've ever opened. It was a very bizarre experience, to be completely frank, and I haven't done a very good job of expressing that, but I don't know who this product is for. Maybe it's for people who just love Cosmic so much, but all of their friends have died, except their spouse.
or they are living in the world of 2020 and they only get to play games with one other person, maybe.
Agree to disagree.
I think I'd rather just get on Zoom and argue with you guys. You know what I mean? About nothing.
Then do the podcast?
No, then play Cosmic Encounter 2-player. But maybe. And that is Cosmic Encounter Duel by Fantasy Flight Games.
Thank you, Kellen. So we wanted to talk a little bit about a fun weekend experience that we all had just this past weekend. We were invited to join a couple of fun games at Aw Shucks, which was Shut Up and Sit Down's digital virtual convention this year. Unfortunately, obviously, due to COVID, it could not be in person like usual. And we were all looking forward to that again this year. But it was still awesome. We all had a lot of fun. Let's hear from the Hundreds of Horses people first, because we all know that is a board game barrage favorite. How did it go? What did you think? How do you feel? How many horses do you have in your buckets or whatever?
Stables?
I thought that Chris was saying, put them in your buckets or something like that.
Oh, like the chips, like the apples? Yeah, you're collecting apples in your bucket. Is that right?
But it was when you got to take a horse home. Didn't he say something like that? No? I'm completely misremembering? Okay, well, anyways.
I had a great time. Kellen and I got a chance to play Hundreds of Horses with Ava and Quinns from Shut Up and Sit Down and Mandy from the Dice Tower. So that was really, really fun. We played 2 rounds. You can actually watch all of these games that we're going to be talking about online. Where do they find it?
Twitch.tv/Shut Up and Sit Down. Okay. And we'll include links in the show notes so that you can check that out.
Will that still be up, though?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Likely those videos in the future will be put on YouTube. And it was hosted by Chris, who did a wonderful job of narrating Hundreds of Horses. He sort of read us the rule book, the story, and sort of kind of got us in the right frame of mind to play Hundreds of Horses. I was shocked at how little horse sense I had with anyone, including Twitch, who was playing along with us in real time. I think that, maybe I've been to more horse races than Mandy and Quinns and Ava and Mark and just sort of have a better sense of what horses are like.
How many horse races have you been to?
We could leave that part out. I can't.
You've never been to a horse race?
I've been on a horse.
Really?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
When were you on a horse?
What do you think you know me my whole life? I couldn't have ridden a horse before we met?
Did you?
Yes.
Okay, for 5 seconds?
Who could say?
All right. If I had to guess, I would say that Mark has the most horse sense about horses.
It was hard to not have the cards in front of you because I was like squinting at my monitor and trying not to look stupid while really wanting to get into this and wanting to do good. I will just say that Quinns is definitely the lowest tier Hundreds of Horses player I've ever met in my life. I would say worse at Hundreds of Horses than he is at Container, which is saying something.
Wow. Harsh words. So that was fun to watch. I watched, and it was great. Neilan and I, later, after that, played a game called Billionaire Banshee, and that was hosted by Matt of Shut Up and Sit Down. And we also played with Paula Deming and Sungwon Cho. So, Neilan, what did you think of that?
I thought it was interesting. When I read the rules prior to the panel, I had this pang of fear that I was not going to get on with this game at all because it's not the sort of game that we usually play, just very heavy, experiential, almost storytelling type games. A little bit of role playing.
And for those who don't know, the conceit of this game is the table is dealt 2 cards. One, which is sort of it's called a perk, which is a positive attribute about a potential dating partner. And then one negative. What is it called? Is there
a quirk?
A quirk. A perk and a quirk.
Yeah, perk and a quirk. So the perk is the positive, the quirk is a negative aspect of the dating partner, and then somebody is selected to either date or deny that person. But before they reveal whether they date or they deny them, you go around the table with people guessing whether or not you're going to be dating or denying the person in question.
Yeah, what it ultimately amounts to is just a lot of free-form discussion about the perk and the quirk and whether that the combination of those two things is enough for the one to override the other. So I think
whether the perk is even a perk.
Right, exactly. I think maybe the easiest way to get into like how silly this is to go straight to an example.
So Neilan was asked, would you date someone who could make all of your dreams the best dreams you've ever had every single night, whenever you wanted? You could control when they controlled your dreams. So it's not like they're doing anything creepy or nefarious or weird, but they just make every single night like the most amazing flying, whatever you can imagine. Your dreams become your dreams, if you know what I mean. Okay, so that's the perk. And then the quirk was, but this person only wears bread bowls for shoes. And sometimes there's soup.
Sometimes there's soup.
So no negatives.
No negatives. Exactly.
No negatives. Exactly. We did kind of come to that conclusion at the end because soup is delicious, bread bowls are delicious, and dreams are great.
But there was a lot of discussion over whether this involved like them trotting soup around the house, whether the soup ends up caked on their feet, whether they come in at the end of the day with these soggy, smelly bread bowl soup things that they then have to dispose of. Where are they getting the bread bowls from?
We went super deep on this one.
Yeah.
Super deep.
Yeah, but I think that illustrates how silly this game is and how fun it was, really. I had a great time playing this. I think we were just able to have really weird, fun thought experiments and then also guess what our friends were thinking and would or would not do or agree to. So it was really fun. It was silly and it was good.
It was very fun to watch.
We also learned a lot about Matt's dating history, which was fascinating in part.
I do think we learned the most about Matt of all of the contestants. No, it was great. It was great. The Twitch audience also participated with this, and that was great too. Everyone was super nice and funny and had great contributions. So, like, they were literally part of the conversation. It was very fun.
And yeah, again, this will be archived and we'll have a link for it in the description, so check that out. It was a lot of fun to do.
So yeah, thank you to Shut Up and Sit Down for inviting us and having us be part of that fun day.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So that was Aw Shucks, and now we want to hear what Neilan has been playing. What else Neilan has been playing?
So actually, this leads straight into my game, which was a game that I played as part of an All Shucks panel. So on Sunday, there was a print and play session, and the premise of this was they would distribute a score sheet for a roll and write type of game that everyone could just play at home along with the people on the panel. There had been plans to do multiple games, but what we ended up only doing was Floor Plan, which took up the full time. So this is a game by Deepwater Games, designed by Marek Tupi. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but
probably not.
Almost certainly not. This is a game that is in the vicinity of a previous Deepwater Games game, Welcome To, in that you are designing the floor plan for your house, except this is where Welcome To involves cards. This just does involve, as is traditional for roll and writes, dice. So you roll 2 dice, and let's say you get a 2 and a 6. You have 2 choices for what you can do with that. You can pick one of those dice, which corresponds to one of 6 different room types, and then make a room that is 2 by 6 somewhere on your grid, which represents your home. Or, alternatively, you can take the 2 and the 6 and then draw features that correspond to each of those numbers. So, for example, one of the numbers is for windows, one is for trees, one is for stones. So if I rolled a 1 and a 6, I could draw 1 tree or 6 stones. And then there's a couple of specific arrangements of those items that are going to matter over the course of the game, because there are these design cards that represent just different goals you're trying to hit. So, for example, in our game, if you made a 4x4 square of stones, then you had made the pool. And if that pool was adjacent to a deck, then you got some points. And the reason you're trying to trigger these bonuses is both to give yourself bonus points, in fact, the majority of the points that you can be scoring in the game, as well as to unlock little bonus abilities like being able to duplicate dice, modify dice, that sort of thing. So it's a fairly simple game. The rules explaining mostly comes down to going through all of the different design goals, which are going to be variable for that specific game, and how they're going to influence your scoring. And you just keep rolling dice, picking something to draw. And as you can imagine, this was fairly easy for people just to play via Twitch. Either, in my case, I was just literally doing it in Photoshop or by printing out a sheet.
Wait, you didn't even print it out?
I did not even print out the print and play.
Excuse me?
You got to embrace technology, Kellen. You got to move with the times. This is the way everything's going. It's all digital. You wouldn't understand. But the thing I thought was quite novel about Floor Plan is that it gives you a couple of different approaches in terms of whether you want to go rooms heavy or feature heavy. It's not at first blush my favorite roll and write. It doesn't scratch the itch as well as Welcome 2 does, which is the more obvious comparison. But I was intrigued to at least try it a few more times before I roll and write it off completely. And
Heyo.
that is Floor Plan.
There's this want to do like a game in the Discord where it's like one turn per day, and I've looked at, there's this game called 30 Rail that's a pretty old school popular kind of in this genre, and this sounds like something fun to do in that sort of way, but maybe not something you bring out at game night as like the next game that you really want to play.
Right. It's also like, in the way that I've discussed, like, this is not like a heavier roll and write, but it is one of those things where you have to get that balance just right between it being like a trivial quick game like a Quicks or a Twice as Clever versus the ones that are more elaborate, and getting that balance right is hard. There's a very weird gray zone in the middle where they don't feel substantive enough or quick enough, and I feel like Floor Plan kind of hovers in that zone a little bit.
I'm looking at some of the pictures on BGG, and the final floor plans, once I guess the game's over, sort of are interesting. It's sort of fun to look at the different plans people come up with at the end of games.
Yeah, I think it shares a lot with Welcome to Dino World in that regard, and that is actually just fun looking at other people's pictures, because especially like on the panel, you know, like Paula and Matt were much more artistic than I am, for example. So they're using multiple colors and their maps look pretty neat at the end of the game.
Very cool.
So that is Floor Plan.
Thank you, Neilan. Do you guys usually thank each other after?
Never.
Not even once.
Okay.
What would we thank each other for?
All right. So before we jump in, just one quick reminder. Tomorrow, if you're listening to this on the day it releases, tomorrow is the last day to join the Ghost Turkey Secret Santa. I guess it's just called the Ghost Turkey.
Just the Ghost Turkey.
Just the Ghost Turkey. So if you want to be part of that, there's still time. Do not fear. Jump in the Discord, join the Ghost Turkey channel, talk to the bot. You're in.
Did you make the bot because you wanted to personify the Ghost Turkey? It struck me that like you could make like a Google sheet in like 16 minutes that would do what the Ghost Turkey bot does, but he wouldn't be cute and a bot.
Oh, you have no idea. The best is still to come. The Ghost Turkey is going to be flying around, sending messages to people. No, I mean, in all honesty, though, like the Ghost Turkey functionality is more about facilitating what's still to come. It's also just a convenient way for me to handle registration in a way that involves me not having to do that much on the back end.
Also, it means the Ghost Turkey is like in
Flying.
our Discord.
Right.
Well, that's what I was wondering. How
It's with
much
us
of
the
it
whole time.
was that?
The Ghost Turkey's always there.
Cool.
That's
That's
cool.
awesome.
All right. So we're ready. It's time. We're going to talk about what we would buy with $100 to rebuild our collection from the ground up. Starting with Mark.
Oh, yeah.
Get us started.
All right. Let's do it. So, a couple of my own self-imposed ground rules. I did not pick anything Kellen picked because I'm going to go to Kellen's house for games I don't have. So I did not pick any of those games. Not that I would pick very many, but I would have definitely picked the Haunted Teutonica Big Box. Other than that, I, of course, went to Game Nerds because that's the place to go. Because not only do they have the best prices, but they also pay homage to our favorite designer in having the Z at the end of their name. And let's start it up. Number one. Number one is going to be the number one game, of course.
Of all time.
Biblios.
How much does that
Yeah,
cost?
how much?
$20.79. And you know what?
$20.79?
$20.79.
It's a
Already
little pricey.
at no value, yeah.
It's a little pricey, but you know what? It's worth it. Oh, one more thing I'm going to say is that I went for quantity. I wanted a lot of games because I want a variety, but also I am going to be doing math trades. I'm not being restricted from doing math trades, so I want a lot of bullets in the gun. I don't want nice bullets. I want a lot of bullets in the shooting gun. So
This is so prototypical of Mark.
That's
Cheap
right.
and tacky.
that's right.
I'm with you,
Exactly.
Mark. I did the same thing, except I didn't follow all the same rules as you did. I broke some rules. Okay, Mark, you have $79.21
Perfect.
left.
Got it. All right. So number one is the number one game of all time. Number two is the number two game of all time. I diverged from Kellen in his trying to find a game for all seasons sort of thing. I liked his idea of Dune. I thought Dune was one of his best selections, but I don't really feel a need for like a big experiential game. First of all, because I can just go to Kellen's house to play Dune, but also because I wanted games that evoked like strong emotions from me. Like again, we were talking about this earlier about the pace, the heart racing sort of thing.
See your true colors. That's why I love it. Am I?
No.
Let's talk about Arboretum.
Yeah. So the number 2 pick is the number 2 game of all time. I appreciate the song though. So for $13.97, I am picking Arboretum. Like Biblios, it's my favorite genre of game. Very tight card game. That's my absolute favorite type of game. So I have the number 1 game of all time, number 2 game of all time. I had to pick them. They were obvious, but they were must adds. So that was $13.97.
Strong emotions, and I lost it. I thought, what else could it be but True Colors? You know?
That makes sense.
Yeah. You have 65-24 remaining.
Got it. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to throw in here a nice, inexpensive cooperative game, one that I am very eager to play, one that we played at the last convention we were all together for. This is The Crew, or as I like to call it, Die Crew, because I like to keep with its German roots. The Crew is a trick-taking cooperative game with 50 missions in the rules there. I really, really like playing it. I am very eager to play it together again soon. So this is my co-op, and again, another card game.
What's the cost?
Cost is $10.47.
Oh, nice.
$10.47.
This isn't a very fireproof collection thus far, Mark.
That's true, but here's the thing. I can use these cards to make other games. So
Oh,
how about that?
Okay.
Okay, you have 54.77 remaining. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
just say that right now.
Now I'm going a little pricier. So this is a game that one of our listeners actually taught me. Todd Koch taught me this game. This is Race for the Galaxy, a game that I had not played during its heyday and just started playing this year a couple months ago and really, really liked the flow of it. Most of the games on my list are about interaction. I didn't want a game where I thought you could sort of like, you were playing the board and you could perfect it. You know, you could get to it where it's like it got boring for you quickly. So most of my games, you're playing really against the other players. This one is the one that I feel like you would improve and improve on, and it's the game that I could see myself wanting to get better at. Like every time I play Race for the Galaxy, I'm eager to get better at it. It's one that I want to sort of ride up that learning curve. So Race for the Galaxy for $24.47. I could also buy some cheap expansions once I get some more cash in the old board game fund, but for right now, I'll just take the base game of Race for the Galaxy. And finally,
Okay, with $30.30 remaining.
I'm going to go with the economic, high-tension, one of my favorite games of all time, The Estates. I could have gone for modern art, but I wanted something that I think modern art is really best at 5, and it's just not as cutthroat as I feel like The Estates is. I feel like Estates is always going to be really cutthroat, and modern art doesn't really have to be. So I'm going to select The Estates for that economic cutthroat game. So Estates for $27.97.
Do you even like Euro games, bro?
If I had $100 to spend, I don't think I'd do a Euro game, just because, again, I want a game that I'm not going to tire out of early. And I think with Euro games, especially Euro games with low player interaction, I feel like you're playing the board mostly. You know, there's random elements that make every game different, but I wanted something where it was at your throat, playing against other players sort of thing. How much do I have left?
Oh, well, you have like a couple dollars left.
All right, because I'm going to squeeze it all out. So
Oh,
for
really?
$1.97, I'm going to buy Are You a Robot?
Is that on there?
Yeah.
I thought you were buying like a pack of Pokemon cards or something on that.
No, I'm
game
doing something
darts.
I can actually trade.
And then
So
you're
I'm
going to trade. Yeah, you're going to.
Yeah, exactly. Are You a Robot? Eventually, I'll get that to brass.
A new $100 bill.
This is
Exactly,
so
that's
like
right.
you.
So with that, I'm at 99.64. So I think I'm winning the closest without going over.
Oof.
Yeah, I think you
That's
are.
going to be tough to beat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Well, I mean, what could we expect from Mark?
So your list also has no party games,
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
And, like,
party.
You could kill Arboretum, Biblios, and Race for the Galaxy with Innovation for like $12.
I honestly thought you were going to have True Colors in there.
True
Really.
Colors is a good one, but if I was going to pick a party game, I think I would go more Werewords for that price, or even Pictomania. They're all around the same price, but the problem with True Colors, even though I think it's probably the best of the three, actually almost certainly the best of the three, it's just that I would have to be playing with friends for that one to be fun. Like, if not everybody there is like somebody I know or somebody who I think might be comfortable with it, then it's just not gonna
I think if your entire board game collection is like 6 games, you're only going to be wanting to play with friends anyways. You're not going to want to go play with random people with your 6 games.
I think that The Estates is an excellent pick and one that was sort of fluctuating in and out of my list a lot because I think at $27.97, a game that's that interactive and that novel and interesting is exactly the sort of thing I would want in a short list of games to keep in my collection. That's an excellent choice. Absolutely.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like my list was fairly boring. Like, I think guessing my list would be the easiest of probably the 4 of us. But it's just hard to pass up Biblios and Arboretum and Estates. Those were like 3 that I really could not skip. The Crew for $10 was such a deal for a co-op game.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and Race for the Galaxy is one that I'm just very intrigued by. So that's my list.
All right. There it is. If you want to buy Mark a brand new board game collection, you burn his stuff down, just buy those. It'll be good. He'll forgive you. Okay, so I think I will go next. For starters, I have a slightly different approach to this than Mark. I was fine with repeating games because the way I saw it, if my closet of board games burns down, that means all of Kellen's games are burning too. We have the same closet, so there's that. And then also I just kind of assumed, like, yes, my friends will be able to I don't know. I didn't take any friends into consideration. I just thought of this as like, these are the games in my collection. Anyways, so yeah, I didn't care about repeats. And the reason I mention that first and foremost is because at $13.97, we have an unbeatable, irreplaceable, there's no way this wouldn't be in my completely rebuilt board game collection, Innovation. I think I've spoken about this enough in terms of the endless replayability, in terms of the insane combos that you can make. 300 games later, you're still discovering new things about this game, about the people you're playing with. I love this game. I can't speak highly enough about it. I think Kellen spoke about it last week enough, so I don't need to go any further, but Innovation was a no-brainer for me, and I just could not stomach a collection without it. So that's first, and it's only $13.97. Yeah. I'm blown away by that price.
Value.
I actually genuinely think that might be one of the best complexity to price games that I could find.
I mean, we're talking like you're paying less than a penny per play.
PPP. It's a PPP situation.
The PPP value is just through the roof, you know?
That game's got some PPP.
So, again, that's a no-brainer. And then I still have a lot of money left. I don't know if anybody's calculating.
$86.03.
Okay, great. So my next game, this was a little harder for me. I removed it and added it back on a few times, but my family loves this game. And aside from you guys, my family is the group that I would play games with second most. And so I need something that they will love. And they do love Coloretto. And I love Coloretto. Coloretto comes in at $10.47. So another just great value. This game is light. It's the card game that you break out when you just want to kick off game night. It's the card game you break out with anybody in your family. You can teach it on the fly, at the park, anywhere. It's great. I love it. And again, I had trouble with this one because there are obviously games that I like more, but I really wanted something that fit that family niche for me.
And you know what?
What?
That game's got some PPP.
It has got some good PPP. So what do I have left?
$75.56.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep on going with these value picks. Well, this actually is not quite as value, but I wanted to, unlike Mark, I love party. I'm all about it. So I decided to go with, at $16.94, Sixes. And this is also one that I was waffling back and forth on because Time's Up is also in that same exact price range. But for me, I think that Sixes is more versatile. There are more groups that would like Sixes. I know a lot of people who won't play Time's Up because it's just like too intimidating. Whereas Sixes, I feel like every time we've brought it out, everyone is happy to play it and everyone has a great time. So it seemed like that would work for a lot of groups, and we have just had such fun parties with Sixes. So that's my party.
It's a non-gamer pick for sure. Like it works, it flexes both ways.
Yeah. So that's my party option. All right. What do I have left?
You have $58.62.
That's good. Okay. So next up, I wanted to fill the co-op niche. And while Mark did have a very impressive pick, I'm a little jealous of his pick that I didn't pick that, but I'm not because mine is better. At $7.77.
Whoa.
At 777. Hanabi.
Ah.
Look at that value. $7.77. Hanabi. Classic. This is another one for me that I could play over and over. That's another thing I should say, that everything on this list, for me, replayability was so important. Because this is all I have. I'm going to be playing these games over and over and over with pretty much the same people. So
Because the fire took away all your money
Exactly.
and your ability to generate an income.
And I'm not as good at trading as Mark, so I can't use that route. So Hanabi is just probably my favorite co-op game, although I will say The Crew is up there.
Couldn't have sprung for the deluxe tile version. It's only like $45.
Yeah, that's Hanabi. Great co-op game. Again, another small card game. I'm kind of so far with you, Mark, on the getting a lot of games in here. Small boxes, bring them everywhere with you. That's my style. Throw them in your backpack, go to the park. Anyways. Okay, so how much do I have left now, Neilan?
Your closet burned down. You don't want to leave anything in the closet. You've been scarred.
Exactly. I can't leave anything in the closet. That actually would happen, though. I would be too scared.
You have $50.85.
You're really making this.
Yeah.
Well, that's about to end because I decided to bring. I decided to splurge. I decided to bring into the last game of my collection to round it out a game that I will say, since Innovation, this is the first game where I have been like, I cannot get enough of this game. I will play this over and over with anyone who wants to play it. At $47.99, we have Twa.
Wow. Nice.
So this has just been such a great experience since I first played it, and I have now played it way more online than in person, but it's amazing online. We've all had a lot of fun games there. I had a hard time because I really wanted like El Grande. I really wanted a Troops on a Map game. El Grande Big Box was like $80 or something.
That's a big box.
Archipelago, way too expensive. I was thinking maybe, Chaos in the Old World. Maybe I could find that for cheap. And it was $285 on Amazon. I also almost went with Comet. Like, there were a lot of contenders here. But at the end of the day, I just thought, if I'm going to be playing this, again, the replayability thing, if I'm playing this again and again, Twa has those combos that I love where, like, every single game is different. There's a ton of interactivity. I just feel like we always have such a great time. It's always a different experience. Twa, I love it. It's in my collection. And that's it. I'm out of money.
No, you have enough for one copy of Are You a Robot?
Okay, well, if I'm allowed, are we allowed to buy app games? I didn't think
sure.
so.
She's talking about free app games.
Yeah.
No,
or 99 cents.
The Left
games.
Party game is free on Android.
Okay, it's okay. I didn't think that was allowed. If that was allowed, then I probably would have had a completely different list because I would have replaced sixes with Celeb Party Game, and then I would have had some more money. So that's it. What do you guys think? Are you surprised?
I think that's a great list.
It is a great list. It is very high on the PPP. That was a PPP heavy list.
I don't understand what this means.
Plays
per
pennies.
penny. It's the number of plays you get per. It's like value.
Oh,
value.
plays per penny?
Yeah.
Oh, that I should have known that off the top of my head.
We already discussed that.
The common plays per penny.
Yeah.
Kellen.
Yeah.
If you go on BGG, you'll see the
For the
rating
stats.
for-
Did you miss the PPP value on Game Nerds next to every game?
That's right.
Average PPP per...
I like it. I like it a lot. I like the list a lot.
I'm actually feeling a little bit better about my list because you settled on something that I think is important, which is like having a splashy game that you feel very strongly about. Like Twa, I think, fits that bill really, really nicely.
I think that this list should have, like, Inish on it. And the reason it should have Inish, and I know it's not your favorite Troops on a Map game, but it flexes so well. It flexes at 2, it goes to 4, it's under $50. I know, like, Cthulhu Wars, Comet, and Blood Rage are too expensive, but I feel like you're doing Matago dirty here by not having Inish on this list. But the Siren Song of Twa has kept you away from the Troops on the Map, the people on the pod,
Planet.
or the PPP.
For what it's worth, I think Inish is actually over $50 because that's what kept it off of mine.
Yeah, so is Comet.
Nuh-uh.
I would play Twa 10 times again before I played Inish again.
Nuh-uh.
As of right now, so
55. That's close.
Yeah,
48.
And that's
it's on the
But
that's also how much Komet is, for the record, $55.99.
well, Komet is garbage in comparison.
I'd rather play Komet.
No, you wouldn't. And that's your list.
And that is my list. And now you've all been dying to hear from Neilan. Tell us your list.
Neilan.
Wait.
Okay, so
Neilan.
Oh my God. I'm just gonna wallow in this for a little bit. This is great. Okay, so I think right off the bat, just a couple of quick points. I also kind of made a point not to duplicate anything that wasn't Kellen's list specifically. I'm pleased to note that I didn't duplicate anything on Christina and Mark's list, but that was purely coincidence. But yeah, innovation is such a good pick that it's almost impossible to ignore. It felt terrible to not include that in my list, and it absolutely would be if I hadn't put that arbitrary restriction on myself. So yeah, let's get that out of the way real quick. So let's go into the first game on my list. There are 5 items total on here. The first game is Blue Lagoon. I think that this is a game that is almost always the first cheap game I recommend to most people for a couple of reasons. It comes in at $20.97. It is a game that I think flexes really strong in the direction of you could play this with, I wouldn't say non-gamers because there's a little bit of rules grit to the way the scoring works, but it accommodates a low skill ceiling. And if you were to play it repeatedly, it's got enough of that sort of go mentality built into it that I think there could be some extremely high level play in this if you were to play this repeatedly. It's a game that I feel like continues to grow in my estimation the more I play it. And honestly, despite how cheap it is, of a lot of the games on my shelf, it's the one I want to play more and more and more. That is Blue Lagoon.
You can't ignore the board game factor here, right? Which is like, we've got a ton of card games on this list, and for $20, you've integrated an actual board game, which is not to be denied.
Absolutely. And actually, I mean, now that you mentioned, that's a good point, because I think like Kellen, I did kind of want to try to cover a little bit of ground here. I actually somehow ended up without a card game. But yeah, it was important to me that I looked back on my list and felt like these are games I really, really want to play, right?
You can just come to my place to play card
That's
games.
true, exactly. Mark's got me covered.
You have $79.03.
Okay, excellent. The next game on my list is a small game, because some of these very small, cheap games are hard to ignore. I wanted a roll and write game to occupy sort of the filler space, and I don't think that there's anyone that I'm more comfortable saying I would play repeatedly. Solo, 2-player, multiplayer,
Woohoo!
twice as clever. There it is. This is $14.47. And like I said, this game occupies so much different space in my brain in terms of it's a game I could play repeatedly solo. I have played repeatedly solo. And I was pleasantly surprised when I played this with Kellen and Christina recently of how much different it is in multiplayer. Like having to actually care about the dice you're drafting because of what other people might want versus yourself. Okay.
You're at 64.56.
I really wanted to put that on my list.
I was surprised you didn't, actually.
Yeah.
That was the one game I thought we would cross over for sure.
I thought so too, because I was going to put it on my list, but I ended up... Anyways, my turn is over. But I went with Coloretto instead because of the family.
Coloretto was very hard to keep off of my list.
But like imagining my life without Twice as Clever is horrible, you know? Like I play that every night before bed. What am I going to do in my post-fire world?
And you left your phone in the closet as well, so it's especially tragic.
So, Neilan, you're at 64.56.
Okay, excellent. My next game, I think, was going to be the most surprising, but again, like I mentioned earlier, I was pleased to see Christina include a big splashy game. This was the one game that I fought the hardest to keep on my list. It's an expensive game. It's one I knew I wanted. It covers a lot of ground for me because it is a game that falls into like the Euro resource management game, which I knew I had to have something like that on my list. It plays a large number of player counts. It is very, very variable. And it's also probably got the best value for number of words in its title. It is Sidereal, Confluence, Trading and Negotiation in the Elysian Quadrant Remastered Edition. This is a pre-order using Kellen's cheat from last week, but that comes in at $48.97. And again, I think that there is just so much to Sidereal Confluence. You've got negotiation, you've got Euro resource management, you've got tech trees, you've got variable asymmetric player powers. It's a game that every time I revisit it, I want to play the same factions I've played before and every other faction. I've barely scraped the surface of everything that Sidereal Confluence has to offer. It flexes friendly, it flexes mean. It's great. This was the one game that every time I looked at my list without it, I was like, is there a game that I feel this strongly about not having on my list? And that was Sidereal Confluence. Okay.
You have $15.59.
Okay, 2 more things. This is just enough to include the best game of all time, The Resistance Avalon.
You don't have enough for Biblios.
No, don't need it. And $1.57 for a pack of sleeves to keep the Resistance pristine.
Wait, how much is Resistance?
$13.97 and $1.57 for the sleeves.
It's only $13.
Yeah, so this is the Resistance Avalon.
Strong.
That's strong value.
You mean strong PPP?
I don't have to sell Resistance to you. And I think that brings my total to $99.95.
You beat me.
Oh, wait, with the sleeve?
With the sleeves.
With the sleeves.
So we got to give some closing thoughts here, because I think we did Dr. Reiner Knizia pretty dirty here.
So,
with only one game in all lists,
and it's on my
being
list
Blue
of all
Lagoon.
people.
The only true and living doctor.
I will say to that
We
point,
just want to say we love you, Doctor. And
Thank you for listening and supporting the show.
we know you love us too. We just only had $100. It was really hard.
Modern Art and Taj Mahal flitted in and out of my list so many times. Taj Mahal was my maybe big pick.
Yeah, Taj Mahal was flitting around on my list too.
Modern
I had
Art
High
splitting-
Society kind of in the running in my list. And then I thought it would be interesting to do biggest whiff. So I will go first because this is easy. Sidereal Confluence does not belong on this list
You're
at
so
all.
wrong. You're so wrong. I'm
So,
prepared to say,
$47 for the nichiest niche of all
but
experience.
the most niche
You need
that I
6
want
other
to
people as nerdy as you are, which don't exist, first of all. Second of all, it's like this kind negotiation game. So they've got to be outgoing people to some degree who are willing to participate, but also not want to just backstab
Well, that's-
because it's like a
that's all of us
kind negotiation
except
game.
for you.
But you're
Kellen.
also
You're not as nerdy as
but
him.
you're also acting like I don't have people I could play this with. Like I've played this with people.
They've been burned in the fire.
They were checking out your collection at the time. And one of them started it, but the question is who?
One of the reasons I fought so hard for this, because honestly, when the question into my mind of like, what is the one big box game that for like around under $50 that made sense in this was it. This was the pick.
I think there's something, like I said with Dune, for like an event style thing that's like, I've got my board game night, Mark is having Card Shark night the whole time, and then there's other times where once a month or once a quarter you bust
Right.
it out. So under that, guys, I get it. It's still like I'm thinking about all these games, good, and then Sidereal, and I'm like, could it be worth that much out of $100 budget?
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It is to me. I mean, it's firmly in like.
Well, I'm trying to tell you it's not to you.
Neilan, don't worry. Your passion speaks for itself. And
Wait, no one
even
else is
though-
going to whiff on someone else?
Even though
Just me?
there's not a good PPP, you've got the passion, and that's the only P that matters.
I know that you definitely covered this, Christina, but I am definitely shocked that Time's Up was not one of your must-haves. Because like it was very close to being like a must-have on mine. Because I think the box version of that game goes for $13.97, so it's still like cheap.
You know what the problem is for me? I don't really like the box version.
That is a
Like
good
as
point.
dumb as that sounds, I will play Dan's app any time. Like it's almost the best board game experience ever every single time we play it, but I do not have that same experience with the box. It's like a different game to me, honestly. And I just also felt weird about saying like one of my picks is a free app. So
Sure. And also not even the specific box that you would like recommend. Like there's a lot of weird.
yeah, exactly. Like that box would not be part of my collection. It just wouldn't. I would have the app.
One thing that
Period.
Yeah,
Done.
One thing also that I was very surprised not to see on your list, Mark, was like a Cube Rails game, like something like Irish Gauge.
Yeah, the thing with that is it felt a little bit like, because Irish Gauge was definitely on my short list, it just felt like a game where you might sort of learn the best practices at some point. I think that does rely a lot on the player interaction, and therefore that's lessened, but it just felt like what I wanted from there I got from the estate, sort of, with the more economic engine. But Irish Gauge was very, very close for sure.
My biggest disappointment is that we're never going to be able to play True Colors again.
It's been lost forever.
Because of why? All the fires?
Yeah, and because Mark didn't put it on his list. I was counting on you, Mark. I almost put it on my list.
Good thing we have 2 copies of Innovation.
Let's see a true color.
All right, take us home.
All right. That's it, guys. That is the Board Game Barrage brand new collection. Let's run through them real quick. No, that's going to take too long. Okay, we'll post somewhere if we had $400. This is what you would get if you came to our game night.
Yeah, we're going to throw a geek list up on boardgamegeek.com that we'll put a link to it in the show notes so that you can check that out, or you can find it on our guild or on Discord to contribute your $100 collection. We actually started it up on Twitter, and a couple of different people within the industry have done it. Rado has taken a look. Monique, the Lavender Tank, has jumped in. I know Ruel has jumped in. So it is an interesting discussion to have with other people, so it's been fun watching that kind of happen online.
Yeah, so let us know. Even if you just want to jump on Discord, tell us what your $100 picks would be. We would love to hear them and argue more. You can tell us why we're wrong, what we're missing. You can agree with Kellen about Sidereal Confluence, or agree with Neilan because he has passion. Whatever you want, we're there on Discord.
On Discord, you have to submit your games along with the PPP, or the average PPP of people in your local area for each game.
The people?
The average PPP of people in the area.
But people don't have PPP.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Oh, yeah, they do.
All right, that's going to do it for the episode today. You can find us online at boardgamebarrage.com. You can email us at boardgamebarrage@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social media places, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And you can find us on Discord, boardgamebarrage.com/Discord. Thank you to Heart Society for our intro and outro song, What's on Your Mind, Kid, from their album, Wake the Queens. Thank you for listening, and good night. Good night.
Good night.
Guys. Good night.
Neilan.
Man, that wasn't as good as the hellos. Even the hellos were better than that.
People don't know
Right,
about the
yeah,
hellos.
The hellos are not making it.
Patrons know about the hellos.
You gotta pony up to hear about the hellos.
All right. Thanks and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Mark, before you put your headphones on, I have consensus with the 3 or 4 of us here that today, the October 19th, 10/19, is...
Never forget.
Everyone in the world is having a bad day. Like, it's just sort of like this universal... I have multiple coworkers I've run into. Christina, Neilan, bad days.
You know
Me,
what's...
bad day because of their bad days.
No,
But that's...
Kellen. You know what's... I actually had a good day today. Yesterday was my bad day. But you know what's funny about you saying this is I just saw a tweet today where somebody was like, sometimes it's nice to think that somewhere in the world someone is having their best day ever. So they're an optimist and you're a pessimist.
So tell us, Mark, how was your day today?
I had a good day.
So
Positive.
did I.
I
Yeah.
don't believe you.
Positive day.
I had a horrible day yesterday, like horrible, but today was fine. So,
I had
Today
a
was
great
the
day
start of a new
yesterday and a
week.
great day today.
do you have bad days, Mark?
I have bad days, but they're few and far between. Mind over matter.
You
Sure.
don't have bad days?
I have bad days, but I
Few
try
and
to
far
be
between.
optimistic.
What was the
Never.
last one?
We're in 2020, so
3 days ago.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, I thought that the joke was like you were going to say like 6.5 years ago. You were like that fateful day in 2013.
Yeah, that was the joke. Wait, what did they?
Oh, because Christina was saying that you said 2020, like 2020 COVID.
Oh, no.
Like it's 2020, so it can't have been that.
right.
fast.
No,
He
I
was-
going.
So you were going for the 2006 was the last
Yeah.
time you had a bad day? Oh, man. Kellen got it. I didn't.
It's a kind of
Yeah,
joke that works both ways, though. So just as I planned it.
We
There you
have
go.
Mark and I have a
Speaking
good
to all the people at once.
horse sense together,
That's right.
as it were.
All right. Well, let's get this pony show on the road,
As the saying goes.
as the saying goes. Okay.
Energy, here it is. Boom! Out of the gate.
Got this. In
All
one.
right. Right. That's another horse metaphor. Right out of the gate.
That's right.
I'm.
Not again. I already had this day.
We can have. Oh yeah, we could do horse metaphors the entire show.
That's right.
Okay, so first I've got to open the gate, or somebody has to open the gate for me, I guess. Okay. Hello. Nope, that was a bad hello. Okay. Hello and welcome to episode number 145 of the Board Game Barrage podcast. This is your host, Christina, the Blue Tank, and I am joined, as always, usually, Kellen, stop it!
Well, you didn't say the slogan.
He was poking me in the back that whole time. At first I thought it was like a little tap of encouragement, but then it
No.
got like really, really aggressive. Okay.
But then you got further and further off brand and it just got
Yeah,
Poked to death.
exactly.
yeah.
Man, I keep getting distracted because I keep trying to think of horse metaphors, and then I lose my train of thought because I was thinking of like when you lose by it's not a leg, when the horse wins by
By a nose.
a nose, yeah.
Snout.
So it's a second by a nose. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, we
Like
have
a
got to
close
get
second.
someone has to say a
Oh,
board game name
sure.
and start this episode.
All right.
We should have done the hello.
We could do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is going to be
With
But-
me as always.
But I'm the deep, so at the
Sure.
deep.
Yeah.
so
Sure.
Kellen starts.
I mean,
Okay.
who has the most
With
masculine
me-
voice?
Wait, who's the deep one? Is the first one? Hello.
Yeah,
I think
it starts
third
Yeah,
one.
it goes higher.
Hello.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm not. I can't do this. My pride can't be
Okay.
left behind.
All right.
Do it for the
with me
fans.
do it for the money, Kellen.
Yeah, do it for the money.
With me as always, I have Kellen the red tank,
Hello.
Neilan the orange tank.
Hello.
No, we have to all be doing it at the same time.
No, but
I
then we
have
do
to-
it
I have to
together.
hold it?
Then we do it
hold
together.
Look, all right, let's start with me. Let's do it.
Oh
All
my
right,
goodness.
all right. With me as always, I have Mark the green tank,
Hello.
Neilan the orange tank,
Hello.
It's gotta come faster. It's gotta come faster.
This is going to be
Yeah, it's
amazing.
gonna work.
Totally worth it. Totally
Yeah.
worth it.
and then I was
Okay.
making Kellen go the highest.
And
So it's gotta be quick. It's gotta be boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom.
All right, so I'm just gonna say your first name then.
Okay, sure, yeah.
With me as always, I have Mark.
Hello.
Kellen.
Hello.
All right, forget it. Abandon
I
ship.
don't know what's happening.
Abandon ship.
No. We
Okay,
gotta get
yeah.
it right. We
I
gotta
think-
get it right.
I was in choir, Mark.
Okay, we'll start with Kellen because he can't.
No.
see.
Why don't we just what?
Okay. Oh my
Wait,
god.
who is
I
it?
just got it, you guys. I just got a notification from Furbo that my dog is barking.
What are you talking about?
What is Furbo?
Oh, it's us? It's us.
My dog is sleeping, and Furbo thinks my dog is barking because we're being so annoying.
That was definitely Mark's
Oh
voice.
my gosh. All right, we're gonna get this right. Okay. With me as always, I have Mark the green tank.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so what note are you on?
What
I'm
note am I
trying.
on? You think I know what note I'm on? Holy
Well, that's the problem. I can't know what the note
out
is.
your mind thinking I know